Well, Dubs kind of got bullied last night by this Pelicans team that I kind of warned y'all. Like, I don't like that matchup for us in particular. Zion, I must say, I'm proud of him. I think we all kind of thought that it was going to get ugly and end quickly for him, his career. And it seems like he's kind of flipped a switch and turned things around, and flashes of Duke Zion last night, right? Deboing the ball. That's my ball. That's my bike. Kind of bullied us. And is say what you want about his conditioning and professionalism. When he's on the court, he's still one of, I don't know, a handful of players in the league that requires help in a double team all the time. It doesn't really matter who you have defensively. And you saw that with Draymond, who I was kind of disappointed in. He had taken the Blazer game off. I understand it's the end of a long season. And to be fair to Draymond, a 28-year-old prime Draymond Green, maybe there's different energy between he and Zion, but he really didn't have his typical Draymond energy for Zion. It was almost like he conceded, like, I can't deal with him. He's too much. But Kerr didn't help things by playing small and not really letting Trace be in there more. What Trace played 22 minutes, Loon, you needed some sort of backline help against him. So to leave Zion on an island with Draymond and he's shading him to the right, it didn't matter if the low man was Chris Paul or Pajemski or Steph, right? And this was a team that swarms. In today's breakdown, I used the term gang tackling, gang defense. And their length, their athleticism, their energy, it jumped off the screen. Even when we got off to the hot start, it was like, oh, you're going to have to keep this up because these boys are playing hard. And look, there is plenty of blame to go around as far as defensive execution, offensive execution, decision-making, and shots and stuff like that, right? We also have to acknowledge the shot making from the Pelicans was crazy. It was crazy. CJ McCollum, we'll get to him in a minute. But I wanted to start with Trey Murphy because Trey Murphy is so tough, man. He has an elite pump fake. He's a shooter, right? And then he has the bounce and size to get downhill and defend. Usually teams, we've seen it for years, right? If you have a guy that's like your shooter, you're kind of giving something up on the defensive end usually, or size. It's like, all right, well, he's our shooter. Not with Trey Murphy. What is he, 6'9", 6'10", jumps out the gym, gets downhill, shoots the seams off the ball. I mean, some of those deep threes he was catching without a dribble. It's one thing to come walking up and dribble into a 35-footer, to catch it flat-footed with no dribble and knock it down. Again, as frustrating as our performance was last night, you got to tip your hat and say, hey, I don't know what you're going to do with some of the shots that were made between he and CJ. And, CJ, listen, he's been waiting his whole career for this moment. He's been waiting his whole career to finally pop off at this Warriors team. But hey, man, it's almost like with UFC 300 here tonight. I'm excited about it. It's almost like fighting old Anderson Silva. It's not the same thing, dog. Like, once Anderson was just kind of, he was like 39, 40 years old and he was just taking prize fights and everybody was like, oh, I went 5 rounds with Anderson. Like, okay, dog. And CJ, Urkel turned into Stefan last night, but CJ's the type of dude where other guys holler at his chick in front of him, and he's like, hey, bro, that's disrespectful. And they're like, I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to her. That's the type of guy CJ is, man. But I respect his hoops. I respect his hoop game. He has some of the best footwork in the league. One of the bigger bags in the league that he continues to refine and add layers to. But he had that look in his eye last night. He was out for revenge, right? He hadn't lost to us far too many times. So I'm not even salty about it. As goofy as he can be, it was like, okay, CJ, I know you've been waiting for this one. And frankly, the Pelicans are just a better team than us. Now, no GP2. Look, as great of a guy as he is, at what point here do you just say, okay, we got to move on? You're unreliable. You're unreliable. As far as Kuminga, I wasn't surprised at that news one bit. If you go and look at that fall against the Blazers, He's lucky he isn't in concussion protocol. I mean, that was a vicious, violent fall. And I was surprised that he bounced up so quickly in the game and played. But a bruised tailbone can be lingering. It can be lingering. So I don't know that that will be healed at all this season, unfortunately. And here we are just leaking oil. And I had made mention of it in the last video. Like, I think we've had to use too much gas to even get up to this point. And then what do you know? Steph, y'all know where I'm going with this. Those Under Armours. I'm not going to go into detail like I did last time and break the shoes out. But what I'll say is, to me, it's the worst basketball decision of Steph's career to go with Under Armour. And I understand the backstory, Nike, not the religion thing and all that. I understand that. And I'm not even talking financially. I'm sure it's been very lucrative with his own branding and all that. I'm just saying, basketball-wise on the court, wearing those shoes, probably the worst choice of his career. I'll leave it at that. Didn't look too bad, but the whole shoe gave way. And I just thought, I expected Draymond to have more juice and energy because he sat out that front end of the back-to-back, and it put too much pressure on Steph to create offense, especially no downhill Kuminga action and stuff like that. Could have used some more Trace Jackson. But here we sit back in the 9-10th spot. And those of you that are all up on the standings and maneuverings, correct me if I'm wrong, but couldn't there have been a scenario where we pull that one out? We almost did somehow, some way. Didn't deserve it, but we beat them last night, right? Isn't there a way where we would have ended up traveling to New Orleans as the 8th seed to see them as the 7th seed? And then we would have ended up getting bounced back down to the 9-10 for a second game, is what felt like that could have played out that way. So it's either the Lakers or the Kings. I think we all would prefer the Kings. Now you're making the argument of home road game. We all know how bad they've been at home. We'll see, man. I expect them to rest everyone in Utah and just say, let the chips fall where they may. I don't think that playing that game is worth it, even if there is some sort of scenario where it gives them advantage. Who's to say where the advantage is at this point, right? But yeah, they got bullied by a younger, bigger, more athletic team that is just a better team at this point in the season. So it's frustrating, but it's a reality check. I wasn't even going to do this video, honestly, because I did my breakdown and it was like Saturday afternoon and not great for the YouTube algorithms, but I thought I'd tap in because I know I've seen some of y'all in the comments, you only do videos when they win. Nah, if you pay attention, that's not the case. But what I wanted to inform you was, after the regular season finale tomorrow against Utah, it should be over around 2:30, 3-ish. I'm going to jump on with the live stream. I'm going to take some call-ins from my patrons, and we can kind of reflect on this season and look to what the play-in matchups are, because they will finally be set, and just have some fun with it on a Sunday afternoon. So I encourage y'all to join me. I'll put it up so you have a notification that when it's coming, but tomorrow afternoon. I'm out, y'all.